Look at the size of that egg! What's up everyone, Aris here. Welcome to a new video on how to power up our Monsties in Monster Hunter Stories 3. A huge shout out to Capcom for giving me early access to this amazing game. In this video we will focus on 3 main mechanics to customize and build our Monsties exactly how we want them. We have got the Rite of Channeling for gene management, the habitat restoration and excursions to hand down those S-tier genes and unique skills. Let's begin with the Rite of Channeling. This is the mechanic that lets us swap genes between 2 Monsties. Basically, if you want a Rathalos with an Anjaneth's attack, this is how you do it. And here's a game changer for this title. You keep both Monstie and its genes after performing the rite. This is huge, because if a Monstie has 2 genes you really like, you no longer have to choose which one to keep. To make the most of this, we first need to understand how genes work. As you progress through the main story, we'll find genes from different elements: non-elemental, fire, water, thunder, ice and dragon, and different types: power, speed and technical. They are split into active skills, attacks and buffs we use during combat, and passive skills. These boost Monstie stats automatically. We have 2 ways to transfer genes. Personally, I like to use the first method, select genes from Monstie to pick the monster I want to receive the skill. Once that's done, I use the second option, select genes from list, to find the exact gene I want to give them. This select genes from list feature is awesome because it shows every gene you have unlocked and lets you filter them by element, type or whether they are active or passive. And if you press the left joystick, it will show you a list of every gene from the Monsties you have encountered so far, even if you don't have them available for the Rite of Channeling yet. The best part, we can check how to get each gene using the Finding Field option. It tells you exactly which monsters drop the gene and where you can find them. Also, in the bottom right, you can see how many units of that gene you currently have. Another great new feature is that we can now rearrange our genes freely with the Change Gene Slots option. This makes organizing your board and forming bingos so much easier. If you find locked genes, you can unlock them by leveling your Monstie or using a catalyst key, which you can buy at the milling shop. As you can see, genes are laid out in a 3x3 grid. Forming a horizontal, vertical or diagonal line with genes of the same color or type will trigger a bingo bonus. Bingos offer different types of bonuses. We have elemental bingos, where using genes of the same element increases the damage of those elements' attacks. Then there are attack type bingos. For example, if we have 3 speed genes, we increase the damage of that specific type. Finally, the higher the bingo quantity bonus gets, the more our Monstie's power increases. A new mechanic is that if you manage to get at least 5 bingos, you will unlock 3 additional bonuses for your Monstie. These may vary depending on the Monstie. Ideally, you want to give your Monstie 1 attack of each type to have a full coverage moveset, plus a gene to buff its stats or to buff the enemy. Let's see this example of how to build bingos from scratch with this Malzeno. I have cleared its gene board, leaving only its signature speed attack, so you can see the whole process. Since we need dragon element bingos, we'll first select Malzeno and then look through our gene list for what we need. In my case, I want a power and technical attacks to ensure we have all 3 types covered. I also want a gene to buff my Monstie during battle. I've chosen Pump Up, which was a fan favorite in Stories 2, because it gives a massive boost to your attack power. We are going to round out the build with passive skills like Critical Excel and Dragon Attack Boost. I also noticed that if I add Critical L as well, the crit rate keeps increasing. So I have decided to stack them along with Vicious Excel, which increases our damage during head-to-heads. This setup also helps us to activate both the speed and power bingos, and since I had 1 slot left, I added this new egg gene that has a ton of raw attack.
We'll dive deeper into egg genes later on.
With these bingos, we've boosted our dragon element attacks by 50%, plus an extra 5% for speed and technical attacks. That's a total of 10 bingos stacked. Check out this clip of Malzeno in action. We are using Pump Up to increase our stats while the NPC lower the village's defenses. Even without proccing every single passive in this build, look at the damage, it's absolutely insane. On the other hand, we have Rainbow Genes. These allow you to keep your bingos active while letting you use skills from other elements. Usually, you'll want to place this gene in the center slot to maximize bingo activations. but it's also useful in a corner while still powering up your attack types. Here's another example with this raid out. As you can see, I placed the Rainbow Gene in the bottom corner. This keeps the Thunder bingos intact while focusing on activating power, speed and technical bingos. And let me show you one last crazy build. I made a Monsties centered around non-element power attacks with every single bingo active. That's a total of 16 bingos. I'm warning you now, you're going to spend hours in these menus testing different builds. Let's move on to the next mechanic. Habitat Restoration. This allows us to release Monsties into specific areas within a region to increase their ecosystem rank. Each region has several zones, but to unlock them you'll first need to defeat the feral monster tied to it. Once you take it down, you'll get a new camp and the ability to release Monsties there. Keep in mind that each ecosystem has a fixed monsters you cannot swap out, plus 5 restoration slots for the new ones. If you are already at maximum and want to add a new one, the game will let you choose which ones to keep. If you use high level Monsties that share the same element as the zone, your ecosystem rank will level up way faster. Boosting Monsties to S rank gives us benefits. The eggs of that monster will be easier to obtain, allowing us to get rainbow eggs more frequently even in normal dens. I recommend using Mega Paintballs to guarantee that the monster retreats to its den. That way we can get 2 eggs from there, but we also have many attempts to get rainbow eggs easily. Those usually come with very good passives, such as an increasing elemental attack. Monsters will hatch with higher level and better genes, including an S-rank gene and also with environment skills. These skills buff your monsters even further and are tied to specific regions. Each region has 3 environment skills, tier S, A and B, that you can awaken using the required genes.
Another detail, each zone has an associated element. If a monster's restoration bar is rank A or S, any new egg of that monster will hatch with that zone element, giving you a dual element monster.
What I really like is that this actually changes the monster's color to match the second element. You can end up with some super cool looking unique color variations. These dual element monsters come with a special gene depending on the element, and the higher the rank, the stronger the skill. When certain ecosystem conditions are met, rare monsters or mutations might even spawn in that area. Now for the final mechanic, which complements the previous one, Excursions. By using training talismans, we can send our Monsties to other regions to boost their stats. Each region has a stat that can reach up to 3 stars, but if you defeat the Elder Dragon of that map, you will unlock a second stat. Just to clarify, stats doesn't stack between regions. You can only have 2 stats at 3 stars, so choose where you send your Monstie wisely. But the most interesting part about this mechanic is that we can choose which environment skills the Monstie will learn. When you hatch an S-rank egg, you might get 3 active environment skills. But if you send that Monstie on an excursion to other regions, you can swap those out, ending up with 3 S-rank skills at once. To do this, you just need to raise that Monstie's ecosystem rank in every region you want a skill from.
For example, if your Monstie is tier S but you send it to a region where you haven't released it yet, meaning no rank, it won't learn new skills and won't gain new ones. But if you boosted the environment to tier S in other regions, you can send your Monstie there and pick the skills you want. This adds so much depth to Monstie customization, it's an incredible mechanic. And that's it for today's guide. I hope you found it helpful, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. And as you already know, if you enjoyed the video and it helped you out, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button.
We are getting close to 60,000 subs. Thanks for the support, and I'll see you in the next hunt.